So welcome to the ongoing Performance Art Daily series sponsored by Toronto Free Gallery as part of a contribution to this year's 7A11D International Festival of Performance Art. We've been having a great time, basically going with a very informal kind of approach of encouraging conversation among the artists as opposed to have them do formal talks, that kind of thing. So I assume that will continue in its own flavor today, each one inflected by the host. Today's host is Jess Dobkin, one of the 7A11D collective members. If we want to give her a round of applause. I just want to mention that this series is sponsored by the Canada Council Special Assistance for Performance Art program, and remind you that after yesterday's dark day, which actually became truly dark because the one thing we had scheduled was Karen Spencer, who actually got a bit of food poisoning yesterday and wasn't able to perform. However, I understand she's back today at Union Station, 9 to 5 every day until Saturday. And tonight here at Toronto Free Gallery, we have the Tuva Collective at 8 o'clock. So hopefully we'll see you back here tonight. And tomorrow, we start moving to other locations. Tomorrow night we're at the Gladstone Hotel for the Granny Boots D2D documentation show, presentation of videos. We get a day off from performance, although there will be actions going on. I think Michael Fernandez is doing actions in the street, and there may be some other things going on as well. Just check the website to get times and locations. And then after that, for the remainder of the week, we'll be at X-Space for the evening performances. But of course, the Performance Art Dailies continue here every day. Okay, that's all the housekeeping business. Now I'd like to turn over the day to Jess to introduce our visiting artist today.
Thank you so much, Paul. And and I just also want to say thanks out to Heather and Paul and Toronto Free Gallery for making this possible. I am so, I don't know if I really need this, but maybe if I hold it this way, it just feels like the whole idea of it being so intimate, and then I'm like this. But because the thing is too, when I do hold a microphone, then I can't seem to help but put it right into my mouth for whatever reason. Okay, so anyway, I'm so excited to be here today. Because it's been my personal fantasy to host like a talk show. And then this morning I kind of realized that I think I was accidentally conflating the idea of a talk show and like a game show and a speed dating game and like tarot readings, and it was getting kind of all muddled in my mind about, and then I got here and then I was suddenly like, oh no, I saw you two in the back, and I was like, oh no, it's actually like the stripper circus edition of the Performance Art Daily. And
Why?
Well, I just walked in on something back there. I was like, oh, okay. So what else are we doing today? So I'm just really excited to introduce these three incredible international performers that we are so lucky to have here in Toronto, starting with Stein Henningsen, Tuya Chia, and Carlos Monroy. And I thought that we'd start first by doing a little sort of, I also was like, is this going to end like in a spin the bottle kind of thing? But I thought we'd start with, it's like, everyone's like, Jess, no, it's like, noon on Tuesday. Okay. So, but I thought that we'd start off with a little sort of icebreaker. It would be like a free association exercise for the artists. So I've given each of them like a piece of paper and a marker. And what I thought we'd start doing is I have like 7 words that I thought it would be fun to do a free association exercise with them, where I'll say a word, and each of the artists will just write down the first word that comes to mind, and then I'll have them share them with us.
Right.
There are going to be 7 of them. See, and Carlos is numbering his paper. So one at a time. I'll also just add that that because of the nature of free association, it can be in English or in your language of origin, like whatever the first, because the beauty of it's the first word that comes to mind. Okay, so we'll start with the word ice. Getting to know you. Okay. The second word is oil. The third word is sex.
Can we play along at home?
Yes, please do. Keep your minds turned on, everybody. The fourth word is culture. Word number 5, and don't think too hard, right? Because it's free association. It's association. Okay. The next are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do we do word number 5? No, word number 5. We're on number 5. Thanks for numbering them for me, Carlos. The fifth word is Toronto. Second to last is utopia. And our last word for the free association portion of today's program is performance art.
That's sort of 2 words.
Yeah. Performance art. I'll also just take this moment to thank the 3 participating artists for being such good sports about all this. Okay. If one of you wants to start, I thought that each of them would just kind of read out their list of words. Steen? Thanks.
First one, glacier. I even made a drawing of a glacier. The next one's Esso. Third one is good. The fourth is people. The fifth is art. The sixth, performance art. And the third is, or the last is action. But maybe we're too much into the moment, but yeah.
Fantastic. Julia, do you know?
Oh, my first answer is blue, yellow.
It's just for the...
Oh yeah, I can
Okay.
But it doesn't have to be right up, like you can just kind of hold it down here like Jürgen did the other day.
Okay. First answer, blue, yellow, red, colorful, multicultural, paradise, and time.
Carlos.
Well, the first one is solid. The second one is message. Then the sixth one, when you say sex, I just keep about thinking about sex. So it's sex. Then the cultural one is arepa. That it's arepa is let's say kind of a typical food of my country and also from Venezuela. It's something we share. The 5 one, I want to change it.
But you can't.
I know. So it's I will add something to it. So is business performing or performing business. I don't know how to. Number 6, that's utopia, is flying. And the 7 is a kind of a sentence. It's something right in between, in the middle of everything.
Great. Okay, thanks. And as far as just kind of the way I was thinking that we'd structure this is like I kind of have a few questions for the artists, and I thought that you all would probably have questions for them as well. And so I invite you all to kind of, to chime in for sure. But one thing that I wanted to ask each artist to talk about maybe a little bit when I was thinking about like the work that all 3 of you are doing is just a little bit about the cultural specificity of your work and about ideas around translation, of culture, of language, of images, of concepts. Because all of you travel with your work and go to a number of different places, and I'm just kind of curious about what it means when you come to Toronto or when you bring your work to other places and kind of like how the work itself kind of translates in these different cities and at these different festivals and how it feels to be like a traveling performance artist with your work. And any of you can start if you kind of are just like, oh, I'm right there, I got something to say. And also, well, and I'll add if you're going to go first too. I mean, it's interesting to me with Carlos's piece that he presented because the piece was actually developed in Canada.
Yes.
He created a piece that was developed at Banff in Canada and then kind of was brought home
Exactly.
and then was brought kind of back to Canada. So even talking about that might be...
Yeah, well, well, actually for me, bringing CMG to Canada was like bringing it home. It, it was more like that. I actually believe somehow the Canadian context, what I lived in Banff was somehow what makes CMG born somehow. I mean, this was an idea I have a long time ago, and I didn't have the opportunity to develop it really. And then the government of my country gave me this kind of scholarship, or well, it's not a scholarship exactly, but it's like a residency, and they actually pay like everything for going to Banff, then coming back with the project, and it's been kind of really hard. Two things. The first thing is that the first parts of the project, that it was like finding the 5 artists I want to be the core artists of the brand, and that kind of thing has been always been by mail, and that was I developed in Canada, in Banff. There is also, you just see one of the video pieces, but the project have 3 video pieces that I developed there with people there who is already inside the brand and they are already making money. And so I shoot some testimonials of Canadian artists from Alberta and some other artists who I met in the Banff Center. They give me their testimonies of how their lives have changed during CMG, and well, then I go back home, and the first step I need to take for completing this whole thing, it was remaking the pieces, remaking the 5 core pieces for having some image, also for the video footage, and also just for having the experience of performing it, like really performing it. And then I bring it back here. So it's been like a translating process since the beginning. And also because some of the artists, like some of them don't speak in English. For example, the Brazilian guy, he speaks in English, but we speak in Portuguese. So this has been all the time translating the whole thing into different kind of context. And bring it here to Toronto is like bring it back home, like somehow the finished product of it, because I don't really believe it's start and finish, but kind of just made the world premiere here has been great.
Great.
That's it.
Thanks.
Well, I normally never do works twice, so I try to, well, I'm using the ice now. That's, when you go into a city, you always, when you ask for an ice, the ice block is different sizes. So,
are we big here in Toronto?
No, you're pretty small here in Toronto. So I was thinking this is going to go way too easy. And I had lined up a long, well, using the ice, going back and forth and a lot of things, but having the ice strapped on, it was just about reaching the knife as fast as possible. And I didn't even think I would manage. But when I travel doing performance, well, it's not about translations. I try to, well, I won't say I succeed, but I try to speak an international language, an image. I've been a photographer, so I'd also like to try to create a nice images, so people will have those images with them. That's what I hope can happen or will happen, but you never know. Maybe I succeed sometimes, and if I do, that's good.
Julia?
Well, when I normally would start thinking about like what is disturb me the most at the moment when I am presenting the idea, the proposal, or whatever. So the same thing, the idea of presenting a performance art piece, I try to always make a new work all the time. So I always have this space of thinking concerning about the current issue, especially anything that is dealing with the environmental issue that really disturbed me at the time. So, and besides, I would also check on the city that I'm going to present this work. What is the possibility and what is a relation? It may not be a direct relation with this, but I guess the issue is worldwide issue. That's why I said how it disturbed me the most. those ideas that I felt disturbed by. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
And for those, Tuya's performance is going to be coming up at X Space this weekend. She hasn't performed her piece here at the festival yet. Okay, well, I feel like we might just kind of segue into what I'm thinking is kind of the existential question. Like I kind of created an existential question for each of you. and then I'm thinking it would be good to have some kind of music or something at this point in the talk show, which I don't have, but imagine, and I won't make Paul sing, but I found out last night that he's really good at it. I'm learning a lot of things about a lot of people this week. But Tuya, my question for you, I think, was is just kind of a question of like, what is faith? Like, what does faith mean to you? I was kind of thinking about that in terms of your performance work.
Okay, may I ask you back the question why you had this faith in your impression of asking me this question?
Yeah, faith. Well, because I mean, I haven't seen your. I just have read of your work, and I haven't seen it yet. But I think in some of the, talking about just like really hard issues around the environment and ecology and stuff, and just kind of the intensity of the images that you deal with, I kind of was just wondering like where faith sits for you, like in your relationship to the performance and in terms of the issues that you're addressing, like in the work.
Well, I think I won't be able to answer the question of faith directly to faith, but I might associate to righteous instead of faith, because well, yes, it had to go back to where I come from. I grew up like a fishing village, very much by the environment, and learning through all the process, moving from country village and to city, and having all the conscious of the teaching from my family, very strict traditional teaching, like, oh, you cannot waste this, you cannot do that, you can't do this. So it became like part of my living practice, and it became the root of me also. So that is, I don't know, it's just like when you see other people do this and that, and it kind of disturbed me. Yeah, yes, I think so. And most of the time, I would think or respond directly on something, maybe without developing or thinking too much, have a very quick impulsive response on something that I thought that is the right way to do, and I am still learning doing this actually, of how to do things that I think is right to do. And at the certain moment, there are many issues that I go through, and I learn how to take it from one to another. At certain stage of life, I felt that yes, I probably have to pay more attention on this point and to learn it, because when you pay attention, you pay your concern, you also kind of like start learning at that point. Yeah.
In life and performance, and kind of not making a distinction between the two, would you say?
Yeah, life and its performance for me is the same. I'm still dealing with art, and it's part of my life. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm taking it, whatever issue, whatever thing I concern, and taking it from that certain point is very important for me. That I mean serious, I'm concerned, and I'm learning to learn more. Yeah, yeah.
Great, thanks. Okay, well, I guess I'll ask the other for the existential portion of the program today. Let's see. Stain, my question for you is, what is cold? What is cold?
Cold is pain.
It's pain?
But it is. I grew up north in Norway, and I've been freezing my whole childhood.
This is what I wanted to know.
And it has been, yeah, and that's pain. That makes you sick, that makes, yeah.
And how do you cope?
Well, I don't.
Yeah.
I come here. I go to the south.
Great. That makes
No,
us happy.
but
You ever been in Latin America? I mean, you ever been in South America or Latin America?
I haven't.
Oh,
I look forward to coming.
I invite you.
Good, great. No, well, yeah, of course you cope. I mean, that gets a habit, and you dress. So actually, it's when you're out, when you move to Norway or southern part of Norway, it's colder because you don't dress. You think it's warm, but that's
Yeah.
so. No, but like now, I'm also working as a tour guide up on Spitsbergen. So that's what I'm doing. I'm taking tourists every day, summertime, to glaciers, showing them glaciers and things like that. And yes, serving them whiskey on the ice taken directly from the glaciers. So I'm working with ice every day, the whole summer, and also when I come here. But I think the ice is as a material is beautiful, and it can it goes into water and damp, and it's one of the 4 elements, and you can see through it, and that gives so many levels. So it's a beautiful material to work with. And also, I mean, we're talking about a lot about global warming and things like that, and but nobody talks about pollution anymore, and everything comes up in the middle of the world where it's warm, like in South America, and it goes up and it comes down at the poles. So that's the cycles of the pollution and all the bad stuff. So my life is good. Life is beautiful, and it's pain, and not having any other skills, but taking pain. That's the way to do it.
And are you having a collective fantasy of going to Norway and going on his tour? Are you all with me on that? Yeah. Okay. Okay. And Carlos, my question for you is, he's also the festival stripper. It's on his tag.
Yeah.
But the question that I have for you is, what is funny? What's funny?
What's funny? Well, funny is something that makes you laugh. That's
to
funny.
you. Okay, what's funny to you?
Oh, I have to go deep in that answer.
Yeah, please. Search your soul on this one, please.
What's funny? Well, I think that's depend on the context of where you live and the context you are involved with.
What's funny for you today? Like
what's funny for me
what's
today?
Funny? Anything funny?
I don't know.
Today?
Every day I have a what the fuck moment. You know, like something happened. What the fuck? Like I don't. Yeah, every day something weird happened to me. I don't know why, and that will be like the funniest moment of the day. I don't know. That's a really philosophical question. No, for real. Like, I will say the truth. I've been reading about humor and how humor is. I cannot say what's humor, but I can. That's hard.
Well, you're using it in your work in a real, crafting.
Well, I don't mean to be funny, actually. No,
My 5-year-old daughter thought you were
I'm
hilarious.
I'm saying this totally serious. I don't know. I've been talking with some of you guys after the performance pieces, and everyone is thinking I'm making a joke, but I'm not. I'm really serious on the thing that I'm really convinced that CMG could work. Could work now. That it will work actually. So.
And maybe the humor is in that disconnect,
Yeah, no. Yeah. But I can say something. Maybe everyone think I'm funny, or not funny, but I just make fun of things. Because I really believe humor is a way to break the ice, right? I think when people laugh, it's a good way, at least a good starting point to have a relationship and have a conversation and a dialogue. So that's why, that's maybe why you asked me what's humor. But I will say not necessarily I'm looking for humor. I'm also looking for other stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, I thought I'd pass that. So this is the audience participation portion of our program. And maybe there's some festival volunteers who will just pass out. There's nothing on the paper, it's just blank. Here, Johnson. Yeah, well, and it's just if you want to, this is just voluntary, but if you want to write down a question for one of our three artists that maybe, you know, you would or you wouldn't ask out loud. No, but I just thought this might be an opportunity to write down a question, and then we'll collect the questions, and then maybe we'll answer some of the questions. No, but it can, you know, just if you kind of want to write down, it just probably be a different way than people kind of, you know, passing around.
I got something
the microphone.
to say for Shuya.
Yeah,
so
please.
Paid is what we give in CNB Performance Art Services. That's
okay.
I want to say.
That's paid commercial time, my friend. I know. And while this is happening, is this a possible opportunity for? Because it seems like Carlos Monroy is.
Oh yeah, I got a winner. Where is my winner? She's not here. Well, no, I believe we should really wait for her because it's a performance personal experience. We can.
Is she guaranteed to?
Yeah, I asked her if she's gonna be. I mean, I asked her yesterday. I asked my winner if she would really be here, and she said yes.
Okay.
And well, if not. Anyway, it could happen at any time.
I mean, I'm looking out at a sea of winners here. So if
no,
not
but
that winner, we'll find ourselves.
But she was the winner.
Okay.
You know, I know. We are all winners, and we like being between winners. I know that, but she was the winner actually.
Okay.
So I cannot.
Yeah. So you know, if somebody, I want everyone to feel in the loop on this. Basically, Carlos, as part of his performance the other day. He had offered somebody actually won a 5-second performance by Carlos that is going to happen today as part of this session. However, the winner, the young woman, has not yet arrived, yes. And when she does, she will receive her 5-second performance.
Exactly.
Okay, so just let me know when she's here. Does anyone have any questions? We can collect them. Just kind of pass them forward.
This is anonymous.
What's that?
This is anonymous.
Oh, yeah, they're all anonymous. Okay.
I have a question.
From who?
Yeah. Alrighty. So I had one other question for you guys. It's kind of but maybe I'll ask my question while the other questions are coming in, and then also I totally want to invite us all just to kind of get into a conversation. If there are things that you know that you all kind of have been thinking about that came out of things that you've already said, or if you guys want to do more talking with each other. I guess one of my last questions is, and I guess it's actually the question from my daughter who couldn't be with us because she's at kindergarten right now, that when she was attending the performances, and she kept saying to me, you know, why is she doing that? You know, why is he doing that? Why is he doing that? You know, at each performance. What's he doing now? Why is he doing that? I was like, those are really good questions. And so I guess it kind of made me kind of think about and this is kind of a very general question, but about why you make performance. If I can just ask each of you. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, and you know what, and I think part of the thing about that I wanted to do about this format today for, Tuesday, October 26, 2010 at the Toronto Free Gallery is that, because sometimes I feel like with these sorts of sessions, it's as if like whatever you say right now is kind of like, you know, you're kind of on the spot and like, this is what I think, this is what my work means. And I kind of wanted to get away from everyone kind of making...
Lay it down.
What?
Lay it down.
I was about to cuss, but I don't need to do that. But just to not feel like you all are pressured to kind of make artist statements about this is what I think and this is what my work is about and this is what I do, and you know, because obviously, Chuya, even for you of not having done this performance yet, to even speak to something that's in the future that we can't even know yet. But kind of really then landing us for right here, right now about. You know, and you can then we can all be at a bar tonight and you're gonna be like, oh my God, that is so not what I meant, or it turns out that was a total crock of shit, or or that's how I felt this morning, and now my stars have aligned differently and I'm feeling something else, and so I think if we kind of have that understanding, then we can kind of proceed and just maybe we're not holding anyone to anything, but just some thoughts about, for right now, one reason. Let's not say the reason that you make performance, but what's one reason, and what's one thing that you get from making performances? And then we're going to get to the anonymous questions.
Yeah. Can I start?
Please.
Well, when I was invited or when I'm invited to festivals, I really don't want to go. I really don't want to go.
Unless it's warm.
No, but I mean, it's creating the work. It's all the pressure you feel on yourself, and you want to be good, and you want to do this. And when you come there, it's beautiful, and the performance family, and I really like doing performances. I enjoy it. And enjoy being in a performance, being present, being in front of the audience, sometimes playing with the audience. It's a beautiful feeling. So I think I'm going to continue doing this all my life. This is beautiful. It is. I started doing performance when I was putting up an installation, a big installation traveling Europe, and I thought it needed a performance. So there I went, doing performances, and then when I was invited to performance festivals, and yes, it's a good thing. It's a big and nice part of my life. That's why I do it.
Thanks for sharing. That's great. Chuya?
Well, I have a very family-based performance art community in Singapore that actually made me start making performance art and really enjoy it. I have pre-knowledge about performance art, and basically those are like second-hand or even third-hand opinion, or very subjective opinion from all the reading I have, until like in Singapore, the Artist Village had initiated all these performance art event, and of course we even have like bringing a lot of international performance artists in Singapore, and I always there all the time, and even traveling like to Asiatopia and to hang out together with the performance artists and all this, that this community and watching their performance made me feel like like what Sting said, is beautiful. I feel so much closer, I feel inclusive in this family, and I always participating in any of the performance arts. When there's somebody doing some action, I always come stop myself to be part of it. And till one day you leave and say, hey Chuya, why don't you do something? At the moment I said, okay, let me do it. And I think that I'm ready and I want to do it, and I had been doing it. So that's when I start and just in love and never stop.
And now, and Chuya's now based in Sweden. Do you still feel that sense of connection with the community in Singapore?
Yes,
Yeah.
I am. We connected so much on Facebook, so I always reading of their argument, their confrontation and everything. I still felt, yes, very much in touch with them. Yes.
Well,
Carlos, you're on.
well, I like something you say that, oh, my winner. I like
Winner
something,
in the house. Okay.
I like something you said about doing this all your life. We can help you with that. And I also like about this thing you say about the networking and being part of a family. Like that's the whole point of CNG. We can help you also with that. I will have to answer the question you just asked in two ways. The first one, I will say it like personally, and then the CMG answer. No,
Okay.
First the CMG answer. Why I'm doing this? Because I really believe it can work. I really believe we have such a strong power. And the thing is that we are not together in this. I mean, like, we just met like in these kind of festivals, and we do whatever each one do, but we are not, I mean, we are a big family, but we don't think bigger than that. So that's why CMG was created. And then why I do performance art, I mean other kind of performance art. It was kind of part of a coincidence, I will say. when I started university, I asked my family for do a photo shooting because I entered in a.
So wait, what? Say it again?
I entered in a living room of a friend, and they have these wonderful pictures of their family when they were so happy and united, and right. So I just asked my parents to do the same thing. So we just make this kind of family portrait. And after we make a first thing, and after that, I was so upset. I didn't like the product because somehow the photo didn't reflect what my family is. The first photo I take. So then I asked them to get naked for the photo, and we all get naked in 36 photos, like step by step. And the final photo is my family sitting in the same pose, just naked. And I also shoot a video. And then I showed this kind of product in a class and whatever. And then suddenly something say, this is like a performance art piece. So I was like, oh, man, nice. What's performance art? No, I really know what was performance art, but I wasn't into it. And after that, it's just like a big snowball who is growing and growing and growing. And I just can't handle it anymore. So and I will say also for the festivals, these things are great. Like you met so great people here that have wonderful ideas, and and yeah, well, just going to other place. Actually, every time I go out of home, it's a business opportunity. So I love it.
Well, kind of funny. I was kind of giggling because my other existential question. I was trying to decide which of the existential questions for you. My other one was like, like what is naked? What is getting naked? But I decided to go with what is funny instead. But thanks for getting on that too. Okay, Sting, can we borrow one of your shoes? Would that be all right? Can we use one? Can I take it off of you? Would that be okay? Okay, thanks. Thanks. Okay.
Don't smell.
I was about to. It's like an impulse. It's hard to. Okay. Do we have all the questions? Yeah, okay. Okay. I'm sorry. It's just I couldn't. Okay. I just need to know what I'm working with. Okay. I think my bow is giving me a rash. Having like a personal moment in public. Okay. So maybe one of the artists wants to just draw one of the questions, and yeah, and then we'll just kind of see what they are.
But
Hear
what
from-
if it's not for me?
Then you'll have to ask. Yeah.
Yeah. It says, in your opinion, is performance art political? Oh, it's an anonymous question, right?
Yeah, you should answer that question.
What did he say?
In your opinion, is performance art political?
Yes.
Yeah, I will not say performance art. I will say life is political. Everything is political. Even laugh is political. It's just a way you address. Like everything you do, even take a shoe out and put some question in it, and everything it has something political in it. So how it comes that performance art
Even not being political.
even now being political, exactly. I mean, we can't do anything to avoid it. We are all part of the system, and we know that. So.
You're stuck with that question forever now, Carlos.
Oh, okay.
Put it under your pillow tonight.
Should I read this question? It's not for me.
Yes, please.
It's to Carlos. Why the try to integrate art and business? Why try to merge two disciplines? Why the try to integrate art and business? Why try to merge the two disciplines?
Well, I believe they are merged already, right? There is an art market outside here, and I mean, this is the free gallery. Yeah, that's nice. But not all the galleries are free. That's first thing. So I'm not doing nothing new at all. And I say it's such a great potential. Like we look just us three, right? And what we do. And somehow outside there is a bunch of people who have no idea what performance art is and how powerful it is. So how no one knows outside what's the power of what we are doing here and what are our political statements. And I really believe it is somehow important to make that known to people, but at the same time we eat and we have to pay bills and we have to do all that regular people do. We are also regular people. So in that way, I'm not proposing nothing different. I'm just giving a new option.
Then you can work.
But I'm working because, there is
Normal
another.
work.
No, but there is another thing I say. I was gonna say, and I forgot when you asked me why I do performance. It's just because I don't know what, I don't know how to do anything else.
Chuya, I'm gonna have you take another question.
Yeah,
sure. Thanks.
Oh, it's not for me. Okay, it's for Stain. Please tell us about drifting off on an iceberg down in the Greenland.
Please tell us about drifting off on an iceberg down from Greenland. Yeah, this is one of my ideas I have. Oh, this is I've been thinking of this for 5 years. How can you actually get some towboats up and attach a big iceberg, and then you go up on top of that iceberg and you drag it all the way down to Europe, and you're actually living on top of the iceberg and doing performance, living in society, coming down to Europe, and the iceberg is melting, and getting together with all other performance artists, creating a society, and having a good time. And look, that's a beautiful image as well.
Sounds like Titanic.
Let's invite Leonardo DiCaprio. He's a performer artist.
Yeah, right? And that's it. That I probably mentioned it. So that's one of my things I'm start working on.
Mm-hmm. Please.
So it's
Please.
it's gonna take some time and some money.
Yeah, well.
Okay, I just drew from the shoe, because I've got a question for Chuya. Well, somebody in our audience, in our studio audience. How does fashion influence your work?
Well, fashion. Well, it's definitely.
How?
Definitely. It depending on how you dress, how you represent yourself, what color you're putting on yourself, which is why you can see like most performance artists are always either in white or black, because they don't want to make any it's a very neutral position to present the work to be seen. And of course, if I would like to actually, yes, when I start doing performance art, I am also more aware of what I'm wearing, dressing. And I am more also paying attention of how people dressing themselves, and flashing back from the culture I came from. Like before I moved to Singapore, I was from Malaysia, and I see people doing performance in the daily life without knowing what they are doing. They don't really pay attention of what their behavior, their action, and what they're putting on them. Especially, we have a lot of free T-shirts, like people giving to you, and you don't know you're actually advertising for somebody else. You didn't even understanding those statements that you are putting on your body, and it means something. Of course, when you are in the art context, you see like artists always write the statement on their body. It means something, yes, cool, or they believe in something else. But for most ordinary people, from where, like mostly in Malaysia, like small village or smaller town, most people don't pay attention or know what they are bringing this statement. So yes, so I try to be neutral, of course, more and more neutral in putting out my suit, my fashion in performance art, and trying to also, if it's related to the content that I am talking about, then of course I would dress accordingly to get as close as possible to the issue or the content of or the relation to the action that I'm going to do.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yes.
Then to so you were like I'm wearing right now black and white because I'm a performance artist. No, I'm for real. There are three kinds of uniform for performance artists. One is white. That is performance uniform number one. There is the performance uniform number two. That is it's black. The other one is white, and then the performance uniform number three is being naked. And I usually use them. I have used them all three, but So you normally use white and dress, or you just?
Not really. Like for instance, my piece in the 2007 when I did in Indonesia, I was dressing just with the sarung. With it's actually the sarung was originally from Malaysia. Sarung is a traditional clothing or fabric that's majority of people using it. You're using it for sleeping, you're using it for bathing, you're using it for anything. So when I was in Indonesia, it's very similar context, and the work that I was presenting is so much related to the cultural background itself. So I was putting myself in a green sarong. We call it sarong. So and suddenly people look at me like I turned out to be like a green goddess because of I was wearing sarong. So and that's contributed to another performance that I developed when I did another performance in 2009 in Yodeboy. I did another piece using the same sarong again.
Where was that? Sorry?
In Sweden.
Okay.
In 2009, I used the same sarong. I try, like I said, I try not to repeat, and also not to repeat using the same material. But it is, if the material is really important and the concern, I can use the same material, no problem, but in a different context. So yes, I was wearing sarong, and another performance I did is about a corporation like black and white suits.
So then my question, because I want to know if you wear it or not, and if you wear it or not, I think you're not.
Socks.
But yes, but then this is a general question, and actually, if anyone want to answer this,
you should all get naked right now.
He already started. I'm sorry. No, but the question is if we really believe wearing black or wearing white or that makes a difference, and it's really on church things of I don't know why we try to take out
color.
No, not take out color, but take out. It's somehow of a political statement, just wearing white or black.
Okay,
I mean, why we do that?
Okay, I'm gonna put this out to the audience then, and if and no pressure at all. If the person who asked the question wants to say something about their interest in the question, or if somebody else just wants to kind of speak to this and speak to what Stain is wearing. Personally, like I just came back from the UK where I was for 10 days. I ate nothing but bread and cheese, and now this is the only thing that I can wear because it's my. Truly, I had a whole other outfit in mind, but nothing. I can't wear anything else. Okay, so that's personal. Yeah.
Well, I just think it's interesting. Like you advance the notion that black and white was neutral, and I found myself kind of nodding along, like, oh yeah, it's neutral. But I don't think black and white are neutral at all. Again, that's something that we put on them, right? That then they somehow become a backdrop. Whereas, I mean, at some level, that's also a very kind of civilized notion. You might say that green is much more neutral as a backdrop in terms of the world that or et cetera. So we could put any color in there as a neutral color, really.
Yeah, but I think it's important when you do a piece, a performance, you think of the whole and you dress like what is proper for your performance. So I mean, you have to look at it as one image, whole image, 100% complete image. So then you have to dress accordingly. Well, that's how I think. So I could be naked, white, blue, or any colors, but dressing with a lot of colors, well, that will normally take the attention of what you are doing, and black and white doesn't, in a way.
I think that if wearing black or white or being naked or in a suit, they're sort of just so basic. Everybody can agree, like, okay, white clothes, black clothes, a suit, or naked. That way it makes what your action is less about you personally.
Yeah, but sometimes it can be you personal as well.
Yeah.
Well, I was doing a performance out in south of France, pulling a chain, 600 kilos or something like that, through the streets. And then I wanted to be a normal guy. Then I had jeans and t-shirt. And that looked good. So, I mean, it's all about what you're doing, I think.
But is that church that we are talking about, that you just say like there are some kind of paradigms or things that everyone can agree at it? But somehow it's like, you just say that right, it's somehow a problem of identity and who is doing the performance, right? Well, this is what I felt. So why I should take out the personality of the performance? Because it's actually all the performance. I'm sorry for being so egocentric, but I'm sure everyone here is really egocentric. So what's the point in taking out, I mean black and white now, but what's the point in taking out with a white and black suit the personality of the performance? I mean, this is a question I'm not going to answer. It's just something that it's keep bumping in my mind somehow. But I just believe, I agree with you, I believe it's a thing of personality, really.
Yeah, when you don't want necessarily your own sense of style and your own personal identity to be necessarily knit so deeply into the action that you're doing. So because you're making an action about something very general in the world where it's not about me or who I am. So to be naked or dressed in one simple way, in either all black or all white or in a business suit, sort of takes me out of the context of the piece. So I can be more like anybody. Yeah.
And we have sorry, Paul, but we've got another voice here.
I think from me myself, I think that what Jürgen said the other day we had this talk that when people are talking about performance, they are 100% talking about themselves. And I think for me it's very much that it's not the surface at all. When you see a puppet master working with his dolls, they are always dressed in black because they are getting into the darkness, so you just see the puppets. And I think that's what I prefer. I think it's not in the same line that you were saying, that the image is important. It's what you create for image, and I maybe I want to be a little part of image. So I think that we're talking too much about the surface. Yeah. I mean, that's not.
Paul?
Well, I was just thinking, because I know it's been an issue for me in the past of, oh shit, what am I going to wear in this stupid performance? Because people read costume as part of the performance. It's just a tradition that's beyond, what performance art itself is. Even, it's an older idea of performance that what you wear is going to say something, just like anything else. And often, I would arrive and I wouldn't know what I'm going to do, and then I'm doing this action and suddenly realizing, oh shit, of course I got to be dressed in something. I didn't bring a costume, And so a couple of years ago I was in Mexico and I bought a black suit and a white suit because I thought, and Tanya was there, we were sharing a room, and she was like, oh yeah, well that's black suit, that's just one of the things the guys need, just like the girls need their black dress, right? That it's like a standard thing, and it's sort of like, then I don't have to worry about what I'm supposed to wear for this performance, right? Because it's kind of it's an established tradition, and the meanings are have kind of been so not universalized, but kind of homogenized in a way that people will read it as neutral, even though it's not neutral, in a sense of sort of like, okay, that takes the issue of what you're wearing out of, why was he wearing black? Whereas if you wear something else, you're, oh, why was he wearing that red shirt and those, hot pants or whatever? I mean, they're just gonna. So it's an attempt to, if you haven't thought that through, to kind of like take out that element. I don't know that necessarily it's a successful strategy, but it is.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. We'll take maybe one more comment on this, and then we're going to go back to the shoe. Agnes, did you?
Yeah, I'm just saying that you're saying it yourself, kind of, but the black suit has a tradition, and we're reading it as neutral, but actually we're not reading it as neutral. We're placing it in a very specific tradition of male performances in black suits. So just to sort of, and if you work in that sort of realm and want to identify with that, you've got it.
That's an easy way out. Black suit.
I still enjoy preparing for what I'm going to dress for performance.
Yeah. Tuya, do you want to? Yes. Oh yeah. Sorry, Stain hasn't pulled from his own shoe, and you should.
Maybe this is a question for me.
Can you describe the political color of performance art in your context? Can you describe the political color of performance art in your context? Next, please.
Black and white.
Yeah, we just talked about this.
We already answered that.
We might have answered that. And maybe it's one of those moments, if the author of that question wants to be like, oh my God, but they are totally not getting what I meant, like, speak up.
Maybe you can, or the audience would like to, hey, say something about this, and before you see the performance, I don't know. but it does, I think about it, because every time when I start a performance, I will always have eye contact with the audience. I think it's very important to find the connection, like what Helga said the other day also. And that is how I also starting my performance, always start communication or eye contact with the audience to find the confidence and confirmation or information from the audience and carry on my action, or try to bring the audience in connecting to the work. So I always have a little interaction with audience. But of course I try not to repeat it or do this too much, because then it fall into a formality in my performance. Yeah, so and when you start getting this contact with the audience, what kind of contact, So this is what I'm.
Great.
Yeah, question.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. We might. Yeah. Well, I was going to say I want to open up to the audience a little bit, and also to invite, like, we'll go back to the shoe a little bit, but we're, I'm just keeping an eye on the time as well, and the paninis, and like, and like, if your question hasn't been asked yet, and you're like, oh my gosh, are they going to ask all the questions in the shoe? Like, and you feel like just kind of being like, hey, wait, I want to get this question addressed. Like, feel free. Did you want to say what?
Anonymously.
Huh?
Anonymously.
Oh yes, or you can just kind of like be behind, you can borrow my boa, and we won't see. Okay, did you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to sort of comment or ask a question about this same issue of everyday activity reflected in performances. Do you think sometimes like the everyday activity reflection in the performance will keep the performance art community disconnected from the public? Because it's very, very personal. That is, people who don't understand this form, they just like, well, she just went through the ritual of making bread. Okay, like, what is this, While, and I'm not saying this is my opinion, but I'm just saying this kind of like an insight on the issue, or if it's like a bigger issue on like genocide issue or something, more people would relate to it and would be more open to interpretation than just this ritualistic thing. For example, and this is my last thing that I want to say is, my sister, when I started performing, my sister told me when I did everyday, mundane slash ritualistic activity. She just said, who cares? Why would anyone care to see your about everyday life? And we discussed, of course, that she just thought, why don't you expand to bigger issues, which is an interesting thing. So it's kind of a question, comment.
And I'd love for you to speak to that a little more as well. Like, how did you respond, and what do you think?
I thought, for me, I'm like it won't be subjective because I'm very interested. So I said I'm interested in actually knowing about people's everyday life and how they live and how they develop. I'm even interested in sometimes when I go to friends' places for the first time. It's like so interested in looking at their house and see how they live and how they place their things and what's in their fridge and all these kind of little things. But it doesn't mean that everyone has the same patience or interest.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Not at all. These personal things doesn't matter that much to me in performance art. I like to think more taking up bigger problems that are maybe people don't care, but I like to take up topics that are important for me also in a global world.
Yeah.
I think it's not my responsibility, but I feel good by doing it. Not pinpointing or anything, but trying to do it not through direct. That's sometimes hard, but also performing in the street. Performing in the gallery is okay, but when you go out on the street, on festivals or by your own, and you do performance among the people, and you hear the comments and you see how they react, and that's interesting. That's really interesting. And we've been to a festival in south of France for some years, and that festival is a small fisherman's village. So the first year, everyone was lunatics, the crazy people coming into town. And some years after, oh, it's a festival again, and they come and they try to interpret and they're part of it, and then it makes sense, I think. Then you can communicate to people, and people not going to galleries, people in their daily life. Then you can reach people in their daily lives instead of talking about your daily life. I think that's more interesting.
Can I?
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna be slow now, so.
Okay, we're gonna get back to you.
No. I can do it. Wait, I do really believe performance art have a trouble. Performance art is supposed to be more direct, right? That's somehow the sense of why performance art was created, to be more directly connected, to be more shocking. But I do believe performance art have a trouble of public, a public of spectators.
He's high, so
I think there is a lot of unaware people of what performance art is, and people who don't give up, So that's maybe why you should join CMG. Because we can make it more people interested in this thing. I mean, we have a wonderful power, and everyone. I believe everyone should know what we are doing inside this gallery. So you should maybe see a video or something.
Yeah. Okay, true. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Paul.
I was thinking of giving you maybe an example of one of my work that. Daily life you can gain a connection to the bigger public, yes, and it can be also concerned with a bigger issue. Doesn't mean that you are living in a daily life by yourself in a little shelter. Whatever you live in is maybe individual, but if you are putting into a bigger picture, it's our whole growth. So like say for environmental issue that I'm concerned about, and it's related to our food, our daily food, what we need for our body, our health, what we breathe in. So I think this is like more like a bigger environment that we are inside this environment. And one of the performance I did was like I was constantly trying to put on a 40-kilo rice on my back, and it kept dropping down and putting it back again and dropping and putting it back until I managed to tie it up totally on my body and collecting bags from the audience, and until that I was totally collapsed and I couldn't be walking out. So looking at the whole process of putting this, it's not just a performance for me, it's also an experience of how I grown up from a village and how the farmer actually had do exactly the same thing. But I was using this as like to say, associate to something else about greed, about what thing you are picking up and how the heaviness of life. So it does connect to the public of their daily struggle and to their own context also. Yeah.
Agnes.
Hello. Oh, both. Okay. I just want, because now you talked about personal life and stuff, and I think it's quite interesting with this distinction between life and art, and we talk quite a lot about that in performance art, and you've talked about that a little bit, like how does your background and experiences inform your practice. But I would like to throw that also this time, and Carlos. Can I do that?
Please do, thank you.
I didn't get that question.
How does your personal life and kind of, or experiences and cultural background and stuff inform what you as a performance artist, your work?
Oh, everything, actually, everything. That's basically it. It is. That has created me, and I'm creating my work. So it's everything. I'm 100%. And also, you say your performance carrying this 40 kilos back. Yeah, I also done performance like that to show how hard life in general can be. But I mean, you can interpret it how you like. But and there's a lot of interpretations in that work. So it could be like she says, or it could be other things depending on the guy or on the person watching. It could be anything depending on the person watching. I think that's good if you can have a different. Well, I do a work and I think one thing, and other people living their lives, they get something totally different. Then I think performance art is really interesting, and also to listening to those different opinions. But no, I am 100% what I am. That's easy. I mean, it's so easy, and get so hard. That sounds strange, but okay.
Oh, it's profound.
Yeah. Well, I was.
It's
good.
profound.
Good. I like that.
Yeah. Carlos?
I would say, well, life is where you take out material of, right? So, I believe I will not say a dream, but like, I always want to be a stripper. That's one. Then my whole family.
This is not a joke.
My mom, my dad, my sister, and my brother-in-law, and also me, sometimes when I want, we work in insurance salesmen. And also, well, CMG is about art, and it's about what can I speak, because it's about what I know. So I'm an artist, and I can talk about art and artists. So I believe, yeah, it's like real life is where you take out things from. So that's the way my own life, my personal livings penetrates my pieces, because it's actually the same thing somehow.
Okay. Now we're going to pass stage.
Can I say a comment to it?
Please.
I think that there is no performance ever done that doesn't have everything.
So
We just put another speed on it, or do it in a different way. I mean, that's the best performance for me is when you take the reality and twist it positively. So I mean, can you name one performance work that don't have an everyday thing in it? I don't think so.
There's a quote, I don't know if it was Horace or who said it, it was to understand performance art, you must understand everyday life. I like that.
Thanks. We're going to play we're passing Stain's shoe now. So I thought, here, you actually should have the experience of holding his shoe. Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to share that. Yeah, if that's okay? I haven't asked. This is
too late.
not consensual. Okay.
Can we video tape you two later?
Yeah.
For you, where does art stop and life begin?
Okay, we kind of answered that.
Yeah.
Next question, please. I'm moving us along.
It's interesting.
But it's something that we all like.
Questions.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul.
Do any of the artists work in any other media? And then there's other questions. If yes, does this benefit your performance art practice? And if no, would you want to? And which media would you choose?
Okay. And you've kind of spoken to that a little bit already.
Have
Yeah. I mean, you can say a little more, but yeah. I mean, as far as doing photography and installation and how
that's true.
performance kind of came out of it.
But
yeah.
I'm a photographer, and I also, sometimes do installations. And, putting the performance art into that installation was important. It was important to make it better, the whole work. But the idea was more or less taking, I traveled around Europe with a cemetery made out of crosses from what you find in Normandy, these white marble crosses after the Americans dying when they went to land in the Second World War. So to make a long story short, I made a cemetery and traveled to all the cities in Europe being part of the Iraqi war to show that that's not soldiers dying, but civilian dying in cities, innocent people. You could die, you could be the victim. So, and setting up, I wanted to put these crosses up, this installation up, and take photos to do an exhibition. But then it more or less turned into a performance tour. And I've never done that exhibition because performance took over in a way. So I'll maybe do it later.
And Trude, you come from like a painting practice? Yeah. You want to speak about that?
I was trained as a painter. So, yes, painter, body expression. Okay. Yes, so I think color that's why while you're asking me the question about what you think about color, sometimes when I start a performance art or having an idea, there's some color come in my mind of what I want this piece of work present in a certain color sense. It does. Anyway, like when I'm doing a piece about green, things associating together are basically green, you know. But when I start designing the work and I start bringing in the different color and what color speaking for those work, yeah, like red, white, red on white, gold on black, you know. The combination of color does show in my work and selection of choices of material.
Well, I think I understood the question a bit better also. I didn't answer the question actually. No, you were talking about different. As a photographer, I always try to make images. Mm-hmm. I look at the space, I look at the area, and where to place me, how to do it, how to create a nice image. That I think that's one of the beauties in what I like to do normally. Of course, I do other things, but yeah, if I succeed to creating a good image, then I'm really happy for that. Mm. And if the performance is good as well, then it's great.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say that all this, it may not come by your conscious. It might be the subconscious way, in the way you choose things. Yeah.
Well.
Do you still paint?
Yeah. Kind of.
He's not allowed.
I paint for fun. Yes. Not for selling. No, definitely. While I was in Singapore, I was teaching painting, having my own classes, and I paint every day. Not for myself, for the student. Yeah.
But the painting you do now, does it inform your performance practice?
I don't really paint for what my practice. I'm more focused on performance art now. Mm-hmm. But I think my painting itself is very performative itself. So that's what.
Carlos,
You have a little bit hypnotized Shuya here from the stage because she don't remember that she was on a performance painting tour in France this summer. She was painting every day in small villages.
Okay.
As a performance.
Yeah.
Earning a lot of money. You can't dream about this.
No, don't
I'm pretty
listen.
sure I can.
Don't listen to him. It was him. Don't imposing on me.
Ooh, I love this part.
I think someone's gonna win a membership just for free.
Oh yeah.
Okay, the person holding the shoe, I'm going to ask you to ask the question that you're holding. Thank you.
But I'm gonna answer that.
Sorry,
right?
you're gonna hang on for just a second.
Oh,
I'm gonna get, okay, another question.
But I want to answer
we're just gonna move on because I do want to get through the questions, and we only have a couple minutes left. I know, I'm a tough ass. I know.
No.
Go ahead.
Okay.
This is why I'm the moderator. I'm
What
pulling
is
up my
the
bra
scariest
strap.
thing that ever happened to you in performance?
Scary?
The scariest thing. 1, 2, 3. Carlos, you start. Scariest thing.
Sure. Okay, that's good.
No, wait.
Or is this going to be the story of you losing your nipple ring?
I don't know if it's. Oh. But, well.
While swimming.
Once for a remaking of a piece who was done during the 90s, then I re-performed in the same festival in 2009. And for the piece, well, actually the piece is just take cocaine and write the names of the artists. Some artists, the first one was, like in the first, when they made it, they put like Just Boys and that kind of names. And then when I remade it, I put the names of the artists who did that piece and my name. So it was, so I put the cocaine, I do the names and everything, and you're supposed to pass it through the public for whoever who wants, just take some of the cocaine. And well, the performances start pretty, I don't know, it was pretty bunch of people there. And one of the other performers has this big truck, but a bunch of people from, you know, these hooligans who sings. So during the performance, I start to give the cocaine to everyone, and then suddenly, like the place where I have the cocaine, it was like, I don't know when it was, you know, and it was kind of a really high confusion between everyone, and everyone was getting high with cocaine. It was like awful. I was like, fuck. And also like police coming or something like. I believe that's the worst thing.
Well, talking about scary, maybe I will use the word fear. The first time I having this fear when I was in one of my performances, which I was live buried, and I facing and my body struggling and my mind was struggling under the earth and trying to and wondering whether I should stop it or I should carry on, but then my body was telling me no. My mind telling me that try it more, you know. So, and eventually I said, okay, this is enough for me to experience the feeling of being buried and face fear of death. That might be an accident and the audience may not notice that you're actually there, and that's it, you know. So then I struggling out. Yeah.
I haven't been scared in performances, not in mine. I think I take calculated risks, and life itself is more scary. Thank you for the applause.
Yeah, no, it was making me think just in terms of the question of thinking about fear or about kind of framing it in terms of risk in performance and different kinds of risk. Yeah. Okay, we just have a couple more minutes, I think, and then we're going to do some, kind of casual mix and mingle time. You know, just leave a little bit of time at the end for that to happen, where we'll kind of stand up and move around and maybe eat and stuff like that. So, but before that, I kind of want to open it up even a little bit more, and again, in terms of if there are other questions that haven't been addressed or something that had been addressed, and you're like, wait a minute, and you kind of want to get back to it. Yeah.
I guess part B of my fashion question is.
Oh,
the last time I cut my hair. Few months ago, not cutting my hair, but I curl out my hair. that was just in the summertime. I curl out my hair. Yes? Is that answering your question?
Other questions?
A very short one that you briefly can touch. What do you think about this thing that I think is a very interesting time now with this movement of reenactment that is really flooding over?
That's a stupid question. I won't answer that.
For me, it's not stupid. For me, it's vital. Sorry. I got a piece. Actually, it was the piece Joanna Householder made me doing this piece. And actually, this is also an invitation who any artist. It's not CMG, so also CMG is an invitation, but anyway. It's called the Perfor Box, and it's a performance jukebox. So people enter the place, take a turn. I call by the turns, and they have a menu. Right now, it's about 200 performance from other artists who lended to me the pieces. So person enter, take a ticket, say I like the 25. I present the 25, like I say who is the artist, why the artist give me the piece, when they led it to me, and everything, and I perform it. And then another person comes, just like a jukebox of selection, and I will do this during 8 or the last time I did it, it was during 3 days for 8 hours. The 3 days, so it was about 58 performance, re-performer, reenactor. So for me, it's like classical and like really vital, and I will say that it's kind of the reenactment, the re-performing. It's impossible. Actually, it's totally a different thing. So every time I move my hand, even if it's the same place exactly, and it's different. So it's kind of impossible
for me,
to redoing
I
it.
don't think that you can do that actually. I think, what is always important for me is that I think that this is the thing that the art market now. I mean, this is how you can sell. My friend, she sold a performance last month to a museum for the first time in Swedish history. They bought a piece of her that she'd been doing in '94, and that she did now for 3 weeks. She was stupid enough not to write in that she had to do it as long as she's alive. But she didn't. So now anybody can do this. And for me, that is not the same piece. Because it has to be Elin who is carrying this. For me.
But it's just exactly that. That's the whole point of it. That is not the same thing. That it's another totally complete whole new piece.
What happens when I go up with my paintings to MoMA in New York, and I show them, look, I've done a Picasso, I've done a Duchamp, I've done a Dussel. Will you exhibit them? What will they answer?
Well, they are asking you for. That's like the question of who is an artist, who can be an artist. And if you remember well, anyone can be an artist. Joseph Boy just says that, and is one of the bases of CMG performance art services.
No, I'm coming with copies. In art world, that's a problem. If I'm coming and made a copy of Picasso, it's a Picasso copy. But
is your Picasso? So. Yeah, well, it's kind of it has something from Picasso, but it's not Picasso because it has something from you.
No, but in the object also.
You're talking about original and copyrights. You're talking about copyrights.
Our world's way of dealing with the fact that they can't market us, and so they've created this like I don't know, it's a question. I guess that they've created a way because I had the same problem. I'm like, how come? What's with this reenactment? Like, how come I can't go and make a Picasso and then the museum exhibits it because it's a reenactment of a Picasso or a sculpture or something? So I guess because we haven't left them with a product they can market, they create this thing called reenactments, and therefore now they have the product that is so ephemeral doesn't exist anymore. Now they found their own way of like co-opting the artist out of it and then being able to recreate it and market it as something. And I guess that's what they're doing.
But I just want to say also, I think that I don't think performance artists are victims in that. I think that it's about an engagement between artists and these venues, and because we are participants in this market, and in some ways the values of our practice is kind of biting us in our asses in certain ways and in certain times, and that it's an ongoing, to me, kind of struggle to understand like how these certain values and as time changes and stuff, and how we kind of do or don't engage. And then like all these kinds of, I think what you're bringing up is so important. It's like these kinds of quandaries that then like, that's so interesting of like, of her kind of selling this performance that then other people can do, and just those issues around, presentation and ownership and authenticity and all of that. Yeah, Adam.
I just wonder whether this is really one monolithic question or if it's a textured question with many subtleties. And does it matter if an institution has purchased a piece and then asks me as the artist to recreate it? Is that the same as me as the artist saying, I choose to recreate this because I think I can reinterpret it? So there may be many different types of recreation. And maybe we need to start distinguishing between them as well.
Everyone's done it. I'll go on this cut piece. I did it. All my friends have done it.
But that sounds to me like someone is copying our life or something. I just believe that reacting and re-performing doesn't exist. It's nothing to talk about it or about copyrights. If we can go both right now and eat a sandwich, the same sandwich in the same gesture, it will be totally different. There is no way to repeat anything.
No, but
I did it first, though. I did it first. I was the original eater of that sandwich.
We are copying him. We should pay him.
But, somebody buys a print of the Mona Lisa and puts it on their wall. It has a certain meaning to them. It's not the original. They know it's not the original. It's not so different in a way. What are you doing when you're doing performance? One of the things I say I'm doing is I'm creating a situation. So if I'm writing a description that allows somebody to have an experience, that's also creating a situation. It'll be what it is in that moment. Like Carlos is saying, it won't be the same. It may have the same title. It may have, but everybody's experience of it is going to be different, just like everybody's experience of any artwork is different.
But
my Mona Lisa is not your Mona Lisa.
yes, exactly. And we should start thinking in creating pieces for being re-performing, recreated. If we want to talk about it, because everyone is based in the authority figure of the artist, right? So I as an artist, I have to be original, and I have to show you something that you've never seen. But somehow that's impossible because everything has been done, first of all, and second of all, you are just seeing all my background. You are just seeing who I am just because the way I act. So it's somehow it's impossible. The authority is like having an authorship of something is always present.
I think this will be a really big issue right now. If you read the program that Glasgow is putting up next year about Marina Abramovic coming there and talking about reenactment.
It's all Marina's fault.
Yes.
But in a way, I think that, I don't know if you know that the curator of MoMA, this performance department, or what they call it, now I don't remember what it is now boss for the whole MoMA. So it's a person that has been working for many years with only performance art. That is now the boss of one of the most influenced museums in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we will have a spotlight to performance who I think have many answers for the and questions that contemporary or object all have. I think that this will really polarize that they start to selling performance work. I don't know how you have it. Has any of the museums
Just
here
start.
bought a piece piece from one of your senior artists? I don't know.
No.
No. So
They buy residue. They buy, like, you know, the National Gallery exhibited the dress that Tanya and Lars wore,
Yeah, okay.
that kind of thing.
No, but here they actually bought it. Right? We talked with my...
But not the performance itself.
No.
And they're not actually buying the artists yet.
There is a Colombian artist from the 60s who went to the National Museum and just gave himself as part of the collection. Well, of course they don't receive him, but it makes part of that.
You know that Pinochet was doing the same. It was in Colombia. Pinochet cut off his finger and was writing a fact, and he donated his finger.
Yes, to the Tertulia. But that's like a that's like a dead part of the artist. I mean, it's dead actually. If you want to see that finger, you have to go to the Tertulia Museum and see it inside Vermont. So it's kind of a dead part of him, but it wasn't him.
You never know it, Pierre.
No, Piero Pinochet, I know who is him. And I know why he did it.
Okay, we're going to have to wrap up for now, but I want to thank everyone for coming today. I really want to thank the artists for sharing so much of yourselves. And we'll see you for the rest of the fest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And remember, always remember, CMG Performance Art Services make art work for you.